My name is Emily Carter. And for 7 years, I believed my family was the one place I could always return to. I was wrong. Sometimes, the people who know exactly where your heart is are the same people who know exactly where to hurt you. 7 years ago, I married the man I loved. His name was Nathan. He wasn't rich. He wasn't famous. He didn't come from an important family. But he had something my family never understood. He loved me without asking what I could give him. My parents hated him from the beginning. My father once told me, "You'll regret marrying a man who has nothing." I smiled. He has me. My father laughed. Love doesn't pay bills. I didn't argue, because Nathan and I believed we could build our own life. And we did. Nathan started a small construction company. At first, it was just him and one old pickup truck. He worked 12-hour days, sometimes 14. I helped him with invoices at night. We ate cheap dinners. We rented a tiny apartment. We didn't have much, but we were happy. Then the company started growing. 1 employee became 5. 5 became 20. And eventually, Nathan's company became worth millions. But he never changed. He still came home and kissed me before doing anything else. He still remembered our first date. And every birthday, he gave me handwritten letters instead of expensive gifts. Then, everything changed. Nathan was driving home from a job site one rainy evening. A truck crossed the center line. The accident happened in seconds. Nathan died before the ambulance arrived. I was 29 years old. And suddenly, the future I had imagined disappeared. The funeral was 3 days later. I remember standing beside his coffin. Hundreds of people came. Employees, friends, business partners, people I had never met. But my parents arrived late. My mother hugged me, then whispered, "You need to think about the company now." I looked at her. My husband just died. She sighed. "I know. But you can't let everything fall apart." My father stepped closer. "You're not capable of running a company this size." I stared at him. "What are you saying?" He looked at Nathan's business partner, Mark. "We'll handle it." I shook my head. "No." My father frowned. "You don't understand business." "I understand Nathan. He trusted me." My father smiled coldly. "Nathan is dead, Emily. You need to accept that." Those words broke something inside me. A week after the funeral, I discovered that Nathan had left me almost everything. The house, his company shares, his investments, his life insurance, and a private trust. My parents were furious. My father demanded, "Sign the company over to us." I refused. He became angry. "You're going to destroy everything Nathan built." I looked at him. "No. I'm going to protect it." Then my mother came to me alone. She cried, "Emily, please." "What?" "Your father knows how to run businesses." I shook my head. "He doesn't know Nathan's business. He doesn't know Nathan's employees. He doesn't know his clients." My mother grabbed my hands. "Please don't fight us." I pulled away. "I'm not fighting you. I'm protecting my husband's legacy." She looked at me and quietly said, "Then you're choosing money over your family." I couldn't believe it. "You're the ones asking me to give away my husband's company." She turned around and left. 2 weeks later, I received a letter from my father's attorney. "Emily Carter is emotionally unstable and incapable of managing the Carter construction estate." I stared at the document. They were trying to have me declared incapable of controlling Nathan's assets. Why? Because they wanted the company. I hired my own lawyer. But before we could respond, something unexpected happened. Nathan's longtime accountant, Mrs. Wilson, asked to meet me privately. She looked terrified. "Emily. What is it?" She placed a small envelope on the table. This was Nathan's. I opened it. Inside was a handwritten note. Just 6 words. If I die, trust nobody. I stared at the sentence. What does this mean? Mrs. Wilson looked toward the door, then whispered, "Your husband knew someone was trying to destroy him." My heart stopped. Who? She shook her head. I don't know. Then she gave me another envelope. This one was hidden in Nathan's office. I opened it. Inside was a photograph. It showed Nathan standing beside my father. But the photograph wasn't recent. It was taken 6 months before Nathan died. On the back, Nathan had written, "The truth about my death starts here." I couldn't breathe. Because suddenly, I wasn't just grieving my husband anymore. I was beginning to suspect that his death had a secret behind it. And the people trying to take everything from me might already know the truth. I stared at the photograph for what felt like hours. Nathan was standing beside my father. Both were smiling. But something about the picture felt wrong. I turned it over again. The truth about my death starts here. My hands were shaking. I looked at Mrs. Wilson. What happened between Nathan and my father? She lowered her eyes. I don't know everything. But Nathan was afraid. Afraid of my father. She nodded. About 6 months before the accident, Nathan started asking questions about money. What money? She hesitated. Company money. The next morning, I went through Nathan's old office. Everything was exactly how he had left it. His desk, his laptop, his favorite coffee mug, a photograph of us from our honeymoon. I sat in his chair. For the first time since his funeral, I allowed myself to cry. I whispered, "Nathan, if you knew something, please help me find it." Then I remembered something. Nathan always kept important documents in an old metal cabinet. I opened it. Nothing. Then I noticed a small scratch on the bottom shelf. I pulled it forward. A hidden compartment opened. Inside was a USB drive. And another letter. I opened the letter. First, it was Nathan's handwriting. "Emily, if you're reading this, something happened before I could tell you." My heart began racing. I discovered that someone had been moving money from the company. At first, I thought it was an accounting mistake. Then I realized the transfers were deliberate. I stopped reading. Someone had stolen money from Nathan's company. But who? I continued. The money was transferred into several private accounts. One of the accounts belongs to someone you know. My hands went cold. Then I reached the final line. "Your father knows." I dropped the letter. My father knew. But why? I plugged the USB into my laptop. There were dozens of folders. Financial statements, bank records, emails, contracts, and one folder marked, "Emily, do not open unless I'm gone." I stared at it, then opened it. Inside was a video. Nathan appeared on screen. He looked tired. His eyes were red. It was obvious he had recorded it late at night. He looked directly into the camera. "Emily, I don't know if you'll ever see this." I covered my mouth. It was his voice. The voice I had heard every morning. The voice that used to say, "I love you." I started crying. Nathan continued. "I found something that scares me. Your father has been using one of my companies to move money." I confronted him. He denied everything. Nathan paused, then whispered, "But I have proof." The video ended. I watched it again. Then again. Finally, I called my lawyer. "Can you trace these accounts?" She looked at the documents. "Yes. Do it." 2 hours later, she called me back. Her voice was serious. "Emily." "What?" "The money isn't going to your father." I froze. "Then who?" She sent me a document. I opened it. The account belonged to Mark Harris, Nathan's business partner. The same man who had been standing beside my father at the funeral. The same man my father wanted to put in charge of the company. I couldn't understand. Why would Mark steal from Nathan? My lawyer answered, "We don't know. But there's more." "What?" "The account has been receiving payments for almost 4 years. 4 years?" "Yes. And there's another account connected to it." "Whose?" She paused. "Your mother's." I stopped breathing. "My mother." I called her. She answered after several rings. "Emily." "Mom." "What happened? Why is money from Nathan's company going into an account connected to you?" Silence. Then, "I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me." Her voice changed. "Who told you?" I froze. "Who told me what?" She immediately hung up. I stared at my phone. Then, someone knocked on my front door. I looked through the window. It was Mark, Nathan's business partner. I opened the door. He smiled. "We need to talk." I didn't invite him inside. "About what?" He looked around. "About Nathan." My heart began pounding. "What about him?" Mark stepped closer. "You should stop investigating his death." I stared at him. "Why?" He lowered his voice. "Because you don't know what you're going to uncover." I looked at him. "Did you kill my husband?" His expression changed. "No." "Then why are you afraid?" He didn't answer. I closed the door. That night, I couldn't sleep. At 2:13 a.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. A text message. "Your husband didn't die because of the accident." I froze. Another message arrived. "Meet me tomorrow." Then an address. A small diner across town. I didn't know who sent it, but I knew I had to go. The next afternoon, I arrived at the diner. A woman was sitting alone in the corner. She looked familiar. I couldn't remember where I'd seen her. She stood when I approached. "Emily Carter." "Yes. My name is Sarah Lewis." "How do you know me?" She looked around, then whispered, "I worked for Nathan." I sat down. "What happened to him?" Sarah took a deep breath. 3 days before his accident, Nathan discovered something. "What?" She slid a folder toward me. Inside was a contract. I recognized the signature immediately. "My father's." Sarah whispered. "Your father had secretly signed an agreement with Mark." I looked at the date. It was 6 months before Nathan died. The agreement would give Mark control of the company. If Nathan died, my heart stopped. I looked up. Who else knew about this? Sarah's eyes filled with fear. 3 people. "Who?" She leaned closer. "Your father. Your mother. And Mark." I felt sick. Then Sarah said, "But there's something else." "What?" Nathan found out about the agreement. "What did he do?" "He planned to expose them." "Then why didn't he?" Sarah looked at me. "Because the night before his death." She stopped. "What?" She whispered. "Nathan called me. He said someone had followed him." And before he could tell me who, the call suddenly ended. I stared at her. "Did he call anyone else?" Sarah nodded. "He called you." I froze. I never received a call. Sarah looked confused. "He told me he was calling you next." I pulled out my phone. There was no missed call. No voicemail. Nothing. Then Sarah reached into her bag. She placed another piece of evidence on the table. Nathan's old phone. I stared at it. "Where did you get this?" Sarah whispered. "I found it in the car after the accident." My hands trembled. "Why didn't you give it to the police?" She looked terrified. "Because the police weren't the only people looking for it." And then, the phone suddenly lit up. A new message appeared on the screen. "Emily, if you have the phone, they know." The message on Nathan's phone was still glowing. "Emily, if you have the phone, they know." I couldn't move. Sarah looked terrified. "Emily." What? We need to leave. Why? She pointed toward the diner window. A black SUV was parked across the street. 2 men were sitting inside, watching us. My heart started pounding. Sarah grabbed the phone. Come on. We left through the back door. We ran into an alley. My hands were shaking. Who are they? I don't know. You said you found Nathan's phone after the accident. Yes. Then why did you keep it? Sarah looked at me. Because Nathan told me to. I stopped. What? She took a breath. 2 days before his death, Nathan came to my house. He gave me this phone. He told me, if anything happens to me, keep this away from my business partner. I stared at her. Mark. She nodded. Why? Because Nathan didn't trust him. We found a quiet coffee shop several blocks away. Sarah locked the door behind us. I placed Nathan's phone on the table. Let's find out what he was hiding. The phone required a password. I tried his birthday. Nothing. Our wedding anniversary. Nothing. His company's founding date. Nothing. Then I remembered something. Nathan's favorite phrase was, build something worth leaving behind. I entered it. The phone unlocked. I started crying. Everything was still there. His photographs. Our messages. His notes. And dozens of recordings. One folder was titled, The People I Trusted. I opened it. The first recording was my father. His voice was clear. Nathan needs to understand that Emily cannot run the company. Then Mark's voice. Once he's gone, the shares transfer. My heart stopped. Then my mother's voice. Emily will sign whatever we put in front of her. I covered my mouth. My own mother. They had planned everything. Another recording began. My father said, the accident needs to look natural. I stopped breathing. Sarah stared at me. The recording continued. Mark asked, and the truck? My father's voice answered, already arranged. I dropped the phone. For several seconds. I couldn't hear anything. My husband hadn't died in a random accident. They had planned it. I started crying. Not quietly. I completely broke down. Nathan was dead. My parents were involved. Mark was involved. And I had spent weeks believing I was simply unlucky. Sarah put her hand on mine. I'm sorry. I whispered. He knew. He knew they were going to kill him. And he still tried to protect me. Then another recording started automatically. Nathan's voice. Emily. I froze. If you're hearing this, I failed to stop them. But I need you to listen carefully. Don't confront them. Don't trust the police immediately. And most importantly, a pause. Don't let them take the company. He continued. The company isn't what matters. The employees are. Thousands of families depend on this business. If they take control, they'll destroy everything. Then his voice became softer. But I know you can save it. I cried harder. He believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. Then Nathan said something unexpected. There's someone who can help you. I leaned closer. Who? His voice continued. Look for the woman named Evelyn. The recording ended. I looked at Sarah. Who is Evelyn? She shook her head. I don't know. Then another notification appeared on the phone. Unknown contact. Evelyn. A message had been received moments earlier. I'm sorry you finally had to learn the truth this way. I replied. Who are you? The response came immediately. Someone your husband trusted more than he trusted himself. The next message contained an address. An old church outside the city. Sarah looked at it. I know that place. How? That's where Nathan used to volunteer. We drove there. An elderly woman was waiting inside. She had silver hair and kind eyes. When she saw me, she started crying. You're Emily. Yes. She walked toward me, then hugged me. Nathan loved you more than anything. I stepped back. Who are you? My name is Evelyn. She looked at Sarah, then at Nathan's phone. You found it? I nodded. Tell me everything. Evelyn sighed. Your husband discovered the fraud years ago. He didn't know who was responsible at first. But eventually, he discovered your parents and Mark were working together. I asked, why didn't he go to the police? Because he discovered someone inside the police department was helping them. My stomach dropped. Who? She shook her head. I don't know. But Nathan had evidence. Where? Evelyn looked directly at me. He hid it somewhere only you could find. She handed me an old key. I stared at it. What's this? Your husband's storage unit. I didn't know he had one. He didn't want anyone to know. I held the key tightly. What's inside? Evelyn smiled sadly. The truth. We went to the storage facility that evening. Unit 118. I unlocked the door. Inside were boxes. Dozens of them. Documents. Hard drives. Photographs. Bank records. And one large black folder. Written across it. The Carter family. I opened it. The first page contained a list. Robert Carter, fraud. Linda Carter, financial transfers. Mark Harris, money laundering. Then, another name. One I never expected. Detective James Miller. The detective who had investigated Nathan's accident. I stared at the page. The man who had told me Nathan's death was an accident was apparently part of the conspiracy. Sarah picked up another document. Emily. What? This is a bank transfer. From whom? She showed me the account. Robert Carter, Detective James Miller. The amount. $250,000. Date. 2 days before Nathan's accident. I felt sick. Then I saw another transfer. $500,000. 1 day before the accident. Then another. $1 million. The day after Nathan died. My father's money had gone to the detective. I sat on the floor. Everything was finally clear. The accident. The stolen money. The company. The fake legal documents. The attempt to take Nathan's business. They had planned everything. But they had made one mistake. They underestimated me. Then my phone rang. My mother's number. I answered. Hello. She was crying. Emily. What do you want? Please come home. Why? I need to tell you the truth. I laughed bitterly. I already know. Silence. Then she whispered. No, you don't. What? Your father wasn't the one who planned Nathan's death. My blood froze. Then who? She began crying. It was Mark. I stared at Sarah. My mother continued. Your father only helped him afterward. And I. She broke down. I helped hide the evidence. I couldn't speak. Then she said. But Mark didn't do it for the company. Then why? My mother whispered. Because Nathan discovered who Mark really was. The call ended. I stared at the phone. Sarah asked. What does that mean? I looked at the black folder. Then noticed something I hadn't seen before. A photograph. Nathan was standing beside Mark. But behind them was another man. An older man. And beneath the photograph Nathan had written, Mark isn't his real name. I looked at Sarah. Then who is he? She shook her head. I turned the photograph over. There was one final sentence. Find out who he was before he met me. And suddenly, the revenge story I thought was about my family became something much bigger. I couldn't stop staring at the photograph. Nathan had written, Mark isn't his real name. For weeks, I had thought Mark was simply my husband's business partner, a trusted friend, a man who had stood beside us at family dinners, a man who had hugged me at Nathan's funeral. But apparently, I had never known him at all. Sarah looked at the photograph again. There's something familiar about that man. What? She pointed to the older man standing behind Mark. I've seen him before. Where? She couldn't remember. Then Evelyn walked into the storage unit. She took one look at the photograph and went completely silent. I asked, "Do you know him?" She nodded. "That's Daniel Reed." "Who is he?" Evelyn looked at me. "He was Nathan's first business partner." My heart stopped. What happened to him? He disappeared. When? 20 years ago. I stared at her. Why? She sighed. Because Mark was involved. 20 years earlier, Nathan and Daniel had started a small construction company together. They were young, ambitious, and completely broke. Daniel handled contracts. Nathan handled operations. The company grew quickly. Then, they discovered a major financial fraud involving one of their investors. Daniel wanted to report it. Nathan wanted more evidence. Before they could act, Daniel disappeared. His family was told he had left the country. Nathan never believed it. He spent years searching for him. Until eventually, he stopped. I looked at the photograph. Why would Mark use Daniel's identity? Evelyn answered. Because Daniel wasn't the only person who disappeared. I frowned. What do you mean? She opened another box. Inside were old newspaper articles. One headline caught my attention. Local businessman missing after financial dispute. The photograph beside the headline was Mark. But the name under it wasn't Mark Harris. It was Michael Reed. I stared at the page. Michael. Evelyn nodded. Michael was Daniel's younger brother. I felt confused. So Mark was Michael Reed. Why did he change his name? Evelyn looked at me. Because he wanted revenge. Michael believed Nathan had betrayed his brother. For 20 years. He blamed Nathan for Daniel's disappearance. But the truth was different. Daniel had actually discovered the financial fraud. Michael didn't know that. He believed Nathan had stolen Daniel's company. So he changed his identity. He became Mark Harris. He slowly entered Nathan's life. Became his business partner. Became trusted by everyone. And waited for the perfect moment to destroy him. But there was one problem. Nathan had discovered the truth. He found evidence that Daniel had not disappeared willingly. He discovered that Daniel had been investigating the same people who were now stealing money from his company. And Nathan had found something even more shocking. Daniel was still alive. I stared at Evelyn. Where? She pointed toward another photograph. A small town in Montana. A rehabilitation center. I couldn't believe it. Daniel survived. Yes. Then why didn't he come back? Because he was afraid. Of Michael. Evelyn nodded. Michael believed Daniel was dead. I felt a chill. Then we need to find him. The next morning, I flew to Montana. Sarah came with me. We found the rehabilitation center. An elderly man was sitting near the window. When I showed him Nathan's photograph, he started crying. Nathan. I whispered. You're Daniel Reed. He nodded. Then he looked at me. You're his wife. Yes. He took a shaky breath. I'm sorry. Why? Because I should have warned him. About Michael. Daniel nodded. Michael believed Nathan betrayed me. But Nathan tried to save me. I sat beside him. Tell me what happened. Daniel explained everything. 20 years ago, he had discovered that a group of investors were stealing money. He gathered evidence. Then someone attacked him. He survived, but suffered serious injuries. He went into hiding because the people behind the fraud threatened his family. Nathan believed Daniel was dead. Michael never learned the truth. Instead, Michael became obsessed with revenge. Years later, he found Nathan and began his plan. Daniel looked at me. Your husband didn't know Mark was Michael until 3 weeks before his death. My heart stopped. 3 weeks. Daniel nodded. Nathan called me. He said Michael had discovered his identity. He was terrified. Then what happened? Daniel looked away. Nathan told me he had evidence that could expose everyone. Who? Your parents. Mark. And the detective. Everyone involved. I whispered. So they killed him. Daniel shook his head. Michael ordered the accident. I closed my eyes. All those months, I had been searching for answers. Now I finally had them. But Daniel wasn't finished. He pulled a small envelope from his jacket. Nathan gave me this. I opened it. Inside was a handwritten note. If Emily ever finds you, give her this. My hands trembled. The note continued. Emily, I know you will want revenge. But don't. Become like them. Make the truth public. Make them answer for what they did. Then one final sentence. And save the people they tried to destroy. I started crying. That was Nathan. Even after everything, he wasn't thinking about revenge. He was thinking about protecting others. I returned home. But I didn't call the police. Not yet. I called my lawyer. I want a press conference. She was shocked. Emily, are you sure? Yes. You're about to accuse powerful people. I know. Do you have enough evidence? I smiled. I have everything. The next morning, every major news channel received an anonymous package. Inside, bank transfers, audio recordings, photographs, contracts, evidence of the planned accident, evidence of the money laundering, evidence involving my parents, Mark, and Detective Miller. The story exploded across the country. Breaking news. Millions of dollars linked to murder investigation. People were shocked. Investors panicked. The company board demanded answers. Police reopened Nathan's death investigation. And then, Mark disappeared. But before he disappeared, he sent me one final message. You think this is over? Another message arrived. Ask your mother who paid for your husband's accident. I stared at the screen. I called my mother. She answered immediately. Emily. Who paid? Silence. Mom. She started crying. Then whispered. I did. My heart stopped. What? I didn't know they would kill him. I thought they were only going to scare him. I couldn't breathe. Who gave you the money? She whispered a name. Your father. I closed my eyes. Then she added. But your father got the money from someone else. Who? My mother began sobbing. Nathan's own insurance company. I froze. The money used to arrange my husband's death had come from the insurance policy that was supposed to protect him. And then, my lawyer called. Emily, you need to come to the office immediately. Why? We found something in Nathan's insurance file. What? Her voice became quiet. The policy was changed one day before his death. Who changed it? A pause. Then, you did. I froze. I never changed anything. My lawyer whispered. That's the problem. Someone had forged my signature. And whoever forged it had access to my personal records. I stared at the insurance document. My signature was there. My name. My address. Everything looked real. But I knew one thing with absolute certainty. I had never signed it. My lawyer placed another document beside it. Look at the date. One day before Nathan's accident. I felt sick. Who prepared this? We're still investigating. Then she pointed to the beneficiary section. $5 million life insurance payout. And the beneficiary wasn't me. It was a company I'd never heard of. Reed Holdings LLC. I looked at her. Who owns it? She hesitated. Michael Reed. Mark. The man who had murdered my husband. He had arranged a policy that would pay him millions after Nathan's death. Everything finally made sense. Michael hadn't just wanted revenge. He wanted money. He wanted Nathan's company. He wanted control. And he had spent years building a plan. My parents had helped him. The detective had helped him. My mother had signed documents. My father had moved money. And I had been the person they expected to break. But they made one mistake. They left evidence. That evening, I called every employee Nathan had trusted. I told them the truth. Some cried. Some were furious. One of them said, "Emily, Nathan always told us you were the strongest person he knew." I closed my eyes. I wished he were still alive. But then I remembered his letter. Don't become like them. So I made a decision. I wasn't going to destroy the company. I was going to save it. The next morning, I called a press conference. Hundreds of journalists filled the room. Cameras were everywhere. I walked onto the stage. For a moment, I was terrified. Then I looked at the photograph of Nathan beside me. And I began. My husband was told he was going to lose everything. He refused to surrender. So they took his life. The room became silent. I held up the forged insurance document. This document contains my forged signature. Then I showed the bank transfers. These payments were made before and after my husband's death. Then the recordings. The room erupted. Reporters started shouting questions. Who is responsible? Is your family involved? Was Nathan murdered? I looked directly into the cameras. Yes. And I have the evidence. Within hours, police arrested Detective Miller. Then my father. Then my mother. Mark was still missing. But his face was everywhere. Every news channel showed his photograph. His real name. His history. His connection to Daniel. His connection to Nathan. The man who had spent 20 years hiding behind another identity was finally exposed. 3 days later, Mark was found at a private airport. He was trying to leave the country, but he didn't make it. Police arrested him before he could board the plane. When they brought him into court, I was there. He looked at me. For the first time. He looked afraid. He whispered, "Emily, I'm sorry." I stared at him. "You're sorry?" He lowered his head. "I didn't mean for things to go this far." I shook my head. "You planned my husband's death." "I know." "You stole from his company." "I know." "You used my family." He began crying. "I thought Nathan ruined my brother's life." I looked at him. "Nathan spent 20 years trying to save your brother." Mark froze. Then Daniel walked into the courtroom. Mark's face went completely white. "Daniel." Daniel looked at him. "Michael." The courtroom became silent. Michael started crying. "I thought you were dead." Daniel replied, "You never bothered to look for the truth." The trial lasted months. The evidence was overwhelming. Financial records, audio recordings, forged documents, bank transfers, witness testimony, everything came out. My mother admitted she had helped hide the fraud. My father admitted he had helped move money. Detective Miller admitted he had falsified parts of the accident investigation. And Michael finally confessed that he had arranged the crash. Nathan's death was officially ruled a murder. But something unexpected happened. The insurance company investigated the forged policy. They discovered that several executives had helped Michael. The company collapsed. The money was recovered. And Nathan's original business was returned to me. Not because I wanted it. Because Nathan had left it to me. 1 year after Nathan's death, I stood in front of his company headquarters. Thousands of employees were watching. I made one announcement. This company will never again be built on fear. I created a foundation in Nathan's name. It helped families of workers who died unexpectedly. It provided scholarships. It helped small businesses. And every year, A portion of the company's profits went toward helping people rebuild their lives. My relationship with my parents never returned to what it was. My father sent letters from prison. My mother asked me to visit. For a long time, I couldn't. Then one day, I decided to go. My mother looked older, smaller, broken. She started crying when she saw me. I'm sorry. I sat across from her. You should have protected me. She nodded. I know. You should have protected Nathan. She started crying harder. I know. I stood up. I forgive you. She looked at me. But forgiveness doesn't mean I forget. She nodded. I understand. Then I walked away. And for the first time, I didn't feel angry. I felt free. 2 years later, I visited Nathan's grave. I placed flowers beside his name. Then I sat quietly. I did it. I protected the company. I cleared your name. Your employees are safe. Your family isn't going to destroy what you built. The wind moved through the trees. I smiled through my tears. Then I whispered, you told me not to become like them. I didn't. I stood up and walked away. People often ask me what revenge feels like. I used to think revenge meant making the people who hurt you suffer. Now, I know better. Revenge isn't becoming cruel. Revenge is surviving what was supposed to destroy you. My family thought I was weak because I was grieving. They thought I couldn't run a company. They thought they could take my husband's legacy. They thought his death would make me disappear. They were wrong. Because Nathan didn't leave me helpless. He left me the truth. And the truth was stronger than every lie they had built. They took my husband. They tried to take his legacy. But they could never take me. And that was the one thing they never expected.